Hey babes, I know! 3 videos! Oh my goodness, I am so proud of myself. Don't get used to me posting this often because I have total commitment issues and I do basically everything. Yeah. Also, I'm sorry. Hopefully, I mean, if it's super loud, I probably will refilm and do it without it, but it is like 100 degrees in Southern California. I need my fan on. I don't want to melt. Thank you. So please, for the sake of my health, just deal with it. Thank you. Okay, so, today I am starting a series that I've really wanted to do for quite some time because over the years I've had a lot of people come to me for advice about mental health and just some questions that keep coming up and keep coming up, and then also the experiences I've had dealing with very severe anxiety and paranoia. It's a problem. I don't know. If you only see me skin deep, you probably wouldn't expect for me to be like, hey, I have severe anxiety and I have agoraphobia and I have anthropophobia and everything in the world that breathes scares the crap out of me. 'Cause I just try not to come off that way. I try to... Thank you for your appearance, kitty. Yes, kitty. I know, you have separation anxiety. But, yeah, and so I heard someone recently who said that he didn't really know whether or not to, like, make a YouTube channel and talk about personal stuff like this. He thought that he wasn't really qualified, like, no one would watch it, like, it could garner a lot of hate and make his mental state worse. And then someone said, if you change at least one person, isn't it all worth it? And I'm like, hells yeah! So, here we go! I probably will not be as peppy and excitable as last time because the content isn't exactly cheery. But I'm going to try to use this series and be as optimistic and positive, because I know that's one of the hardest things to keep in mind when you're going through all of this. It's hard to, you know, it's sometimes very hard to take a step back from everything and take a deep breath and say things aren't as bad as they seem. The sky is not falling. So that's where I'm going from this. I have my little notebook here so that I can kind of stay on topic and not ramble so much. Hopefully this isn't another 40-minute video. If it is, I'm sorry. Oh, sorry. Can you tell that I'm new to YouTube? So I want to start off with telling you the basics about my journey with anxiety. I began taking psychiatric medications in the 5th grade for ADHD. After a couple years, that medication began to negatively affect my mental health. I might go into detail about that at some other point, not right now. But the side effect was something that caused me to need to see a psychiatrist and a therapist for many, many years. And while going through this, they found that I had mild to moderate social anxiety disorder. It's something that kind of runs in my family. It was not that big of a surprise, and so I was put on a low-dose, mild anti-anxiety medication, and we called it a day. Did therapy, all that stuff. And my doctors back then were great. I think they were. I mean, it's kind of hard to tell because when you relapse and you get worse and you develop new triggers and new just mental illnesses in general, it can kind of feel like the doctors in the past have failed you, when that might not be the case. Mental illnesses aren't something that you're like always born with. You can have markers for it, you can be more susceptible to it, you can be born with it. Some of them are purely environmental, and you got it because of a traumatic incident, post-traumatic stress disorder. And so it can feel like the doctors of the past failed you because I'm not better. I'm not okay. But that's not the case. I'm sure that a large portion of people working in the mental health field are doing their best. But it's hard because every person is different. Everyone's case of every mental illness is different. Every therapist is different. Each one of them have different steps that they go through. They have different techniques and and group therapies and So it's hard to say that there is a bad therapist exactly. But I think for the most part, it went well. As I got older, especially during my teenage years, my anxiety just began to slowly grow to be a monster that I never expected it to be. And you can probably hear my voice wavering because these are sensitive topics to me. This is my life, and it's hard. It's really, really hard. My story is really not, unfortunately, my story is very common. Getting into high school, I was bullied severely. I was taken advantage of and bullied even by my best friends. People would steal my lunch, and that happened for like 2 whole years. It was just that every person that I came into contact with, they wanted something from me, and me, I just wanted friends. I wanted to feel accepted, and I wanted to feel safe with people and have these friendships that I saw everyone else have, and it's not like that, really. It was a very hard experience. The 2 things that, or I guess 3 things that come to mind when it comes to my anxiety were the first time that I really saw how just evil kids could be. I had started 8th grade at a new school in a new city. I had recently just moved back to my hometown, and I was so excited because I spent like the last semester of 7th grade in homeschool. I was so excited. I was excited to have like the cafeteria food, and I was excited to join clubs and do all this stuff. I was so excited to go to public school. But I was very naive. I wanted to be everyone's friend, and I went into every situation believing that everyone was good, which is, it's not a bad thing. It is not a bad thing to want to see the good in people. That is a great thing if you can look at people and even in the darkest soul, you can find something good about them. That's an amazing trait to have, and I commend anyone who has been able to keep it into adulthood. But I had befriended a girl, I will not state her name. I had a crush on her ex-boyfriend, and because of that, she wanted to ruin my life. I did not go to a very nice school. We found out very quickly that that area was just not a good area of town. I was jumped at lunch by people I didn't know, screaming at me that I had called someone a bitch whose name I had never heard before, and they were saying that they were gonna kick my ass. I spent the rest of lunch hiding under a table by myself. No one stood up for me. None of the people that I thought were friends like stood up and said, no, she didn't say that. I was alone. And that was one thing, and it was very eye-opening, but I still did not believe that this girl was causing all of it. And then Halloween was coming up. If you didn't know from my last video, Halloween is my favorite time of the year. I love Halloween. I love dressing up. And so when she had invited me to a Halloween party, I was ecstatic because I had literally never been invited to a party. It was so exciting to think about all of the media that I have seen, and thinking about like punch bowls and bowls of snacks and people dancing and just the idyllic teenage party. And she told me to wear my costume, and I was all like, oh, of course, yes. So on Halloween, or maybe it was a day or two before Halloween, I had my mom drive me. I dressed up completely in my costume. I was so excited. And we get there, and half of the 8th grade is standing outside of the house, all in normal clothes, holding up cameras. The only thing I can say about that is, A, life's just not fair sometimes. It's undeniable that sometimes there are gonna be shitty things that happen to good people. It didn't matter that I didn't know half of the people there. It didn't matter that the half of the people I knew I had treated as kindly as possible. None of it mattered. I was living in Legally Blonde. I was living in Legally Blonde and humiliated, and I went home and I cried. I cried all night long. It was a terrible experience. And before then, I had small interactions with people who took advantage of my naivety. And you all see me. I bust out with perverted jokes far too often. I have the mouth of a sailor. I'm the last person you would think is naive, but genuinely, I am a very naive person. I just want to see the good in people and hope that they return the favor. But that didn't happen. The second incident was when I was in my sophomore year, and I don't even know what happened, but something changed. I couldn't tell if it was just that I was being a teenage girl and talked about boys with my friends. Yes, kitty. I don't know if I suddenly started wearing provocative things without noticing, but I started coming to school and I just had a target on my back. I was called whore. I was called slut. I was called easy. I was called far too many things. And the funniest thing was I never kissed a boy. And so that kind of crushed my spirit. And then it was that not just that people, just rude, popular people were coming for me. My own friends were treating me terribly. I was told constantly that I would never have a boyfriend and that I was lesbian, and it wasn't good. And then the last thing that really just broke me was I had a long distance girlfriend. We got together on Valentine's Day of 2015, and she was my everything. I gave her every part of me as much as I could. By then I was a broken person. I was not well, and again, that whole backstory will come in another episode, but I loved her so much, but we just weren't meant to be together, and it was just, I accidentally hurt her, she accidentally hurt me, and then I got sick of it. I got sick of her flaking on me, and mind you, we are friends now. We do get along now. We make far better friends than we made partners. But I left her, and a few days afterwards, she attempted to take her own life. And that that's what broke me. Because not only did I not understand people, I didn't understand why they did the things they did. I didn't understand how nice I had to be for them to reciprocate it. I didn't understand any of it. But then I didn't understand myself, and questioning if I did something, was this all my fault? Did I freaking pull the trigger? Like, and it was horrible. If you ask my closest friends, I had panic attacks every single night for 2 months. And it fucked with me. There's no better way to say it. I was brought to an emergency room later that year, a few months later, because I was having an extremely irregular pulse rate. And through that, they had found that the treatment I was having for my anxiety was no longer enough. I had been changed from mild to moderate to severe anxiety, and so they put me on a stronger they put me on a stronger medication, and I felt terrible. Anxiety was something that I thought I understood. I thought I knew that part of me. Like, I had been dealing with it for so long. How did it get out of hand? And I tore myself apart. And it's a toxic mentality. Please, if any of you ever are going through something mentally, you are depressed, you have anxiety, you have bipolar disorder, if you go through anything, please, relapsing and getting worse is not a sign of weakness. It is not just a statement about how hard you worked. It means nothing about how stubborn and how much you pushed to get through it. It is not your fault. Mental illnesses are something that are extremely complicated. And when you decide to, instead of saying, let's move on from here, what do I need to do? When you instead to choose to focus more on how did I let myself get to this, you are stunting your progress just drastically, and it's not your fault. Some of us in life are just dealt really shit hands. I don't know. Doctors like to tell me that quite a lot. No, it is not comforting. But, so that's my story about dealing with anxiety and where my treatment led to where my treatment has led today. I'm still on the same medication that the emergency room prescribed me, and I have weekly therapy sessions. I see a psychiatrist once a month. Both of my doctors are lovely, lovely, lovely people. But that's beside the point. I will do a whole video about my thoughts on the mental industry. But, so, I hate the word because it's gotten such a negative stigma, and I hate that it has such a negative stigma because it's an actual, like, scientific term that is important to be used in these situations. And that is, what are your triggers? What are the things that cause you to become extremely anxious? For me, it is all about people. Oh god, I've typed this out so many times to talk to friends about it, but looking at myself in the viewfinder, it's... oh god, I didn't think it was gonna be this hard. I don't understand people. I don't understand why they hurt me. I don't know what I do wrong. I don't know how I become a better person from it. I don't know how to learn from it and use it in the future, because people all act differently. So how do I know what to say to make it better? And then the anxiety comes of, am I talking strange? Are they looking at me weird? Do they think I'm weird? Oh my gosh, what is going on? I hope that they just can't think I'm weird. I'm not thinking weird, am I? And it just spirals and spirals and spirals and spirals. There have been times when small things that the people could have never expected would have such a great impact on me, where it was just a little thing where a friend hurt my feelings. It sends me into survival mode. It is why I've had a lot of times when I have left Twitter. I have deleted my Discord before. I've deleted Skype and Kick and Instagram and Tumblr. I have deleted everything and blocked people's numbers. I have completely isolated myself sometimes, because that feels like the only way to survive. And it's hard. It is unexplainably hard to get out of that mindset that everyone around you, everyone you talk to, everyone you meet has the capability of hurting you. You might not think that they will. You can think that someone is extremely a nice person, but in the back of your head, you still know that there's that little chance. And so you build the walls and you keep things to yourself, and that leads to so many different problems. The minute you decide to bottle things up is the minute that you are just signing away your life to your mental illness. You need to talk to someone. You can't expect someone with cancer to be well enough to administer chemotherapy to someone else. Well, you're someone who is dealing with a mental illness. You aren't well. You can't expect yourself to be able to give you the help that you need, the help that you deserve. Listen to me, because this is something that people think this way too often. Good, amazing people think this too often. You deserve help. You deserve someone to listen to you. You deserve someone to take you seriously when you tell them that I'm having panic attacks, I'm having an anxiety attack. You are allowed to be weak for a second. You are human. You can make mistakes. You can learn toxic habits. But the great thing is you can always come back. You can always come back from it. And I promise you, no, it's not easy. I still am a wreck with people. I still hate calling people because calling people gives me anxiety because I'm so scared, like, what do I say? Oh my gosh. And it's like, Mandy, go fucking call and make your damn appointment. You do this every month. But still, the other thing I suffer from is agoraphobia, which is lovely. Agoraphobia is the lovely toxic cycle of being anxious about having an anxiety attack in public. And so it just bounces off of each other constantly, and it leads you into such a deep hole, Lord Jesus. So, sorry, Mom, if you're watching this. I'm sorry that I said the Lord's name in vain. Don't yell at me. So, this is the part where I am supposed to tell you what my advice is. My first advice is find someone to talk to. It doesn't need to be a doctor at first. Any family member you can trust, a friend. They don't have to be physical. They can be an online friend. Just find someone that you can let down your guard and say, hey, I don't think I'm doing too hot. I'm feeling this way. And you cannot imagine the weight that gets lifted off of you the minute that you can just say it. It's 3 little words that we're all terrified of. They seem like the scariest words to have to say out loud, to look in the mirror and have to say it, but you have to say it. You have to say it to yourself. You need to say it to someone. I'm not okay. Once you accept that there is a problem, then you can actually work to fix it. I'm not gonna pretend that I'm a therapist. I'm not even a YouTuber. I'm just some freaking chick in her bedroom talking to a camera. But my best advice is learn, whether it's through a doctor, there are plenty of websites online that teach you them. Learn grounding techniques, learn breathing techniques. Try to find things that in the heat of the moment, it'll calm you down. Like, I have this. It is a dumb little squishy thing, and it makes like cracky sounds. This is like one of my best friends because it's just fun and it lets me move and gives me something to hear, and that's how I can think more clearly. Everyone's different, and if you are dealing with anxiety, my number one advice is always going to be talk to your doctor. A good relationship with your doctor is one of the most important things in the world, because trust me, if you give them the opportunity, they will bend over backwards for you. Doctors are half of my life. Come on. But find someone trustworthy that you can open up to. Find breathing and grounding techniques that work for you, and get up the courage to stand up for yourself, which it's not easy to do, especially when you're already anxious. It's incredibly hard to stand up for yourself, especially because you're standing up to yourself as well. But you need to stand up for yourself and say, I deserve help. I am a human being who wants to be successful. I want to be productive. I want to be all of these things. And get the help that you need to get to that spot. Don't set goals too high. You have a whole lifetime to work on it. I will totally admit, my biggest problem and the thing that has stunted not just my recovery back in the day, it stunts my recovery now. And that's holding myself to such high standards that I could never meet. I was annoyed that after I got out of the hospital, things weren't all hunky-dory. Well, you spent 3 days with a psychiatrist that you talked to for 5 minutes each day. What did you think was gonna happen? Don't rush yourself. Do it the right way the first time, and it'll stick with you, and you will always be able to hold on to the things that you learn. And, I mean, if all else fails, my DMs are always open. Alright, so I think that wraps it up. I hope that made even a bit of sense. If you haven't noticed, you might have noticed this in the first video as well, my nervous tick is that I play with my hair a lot. I'm sorry if that bothers you. I'm sure that it'll piss some people off, like, fucking stop touching your hair. I can't do it, so, you know, deal with it. So, in the description box down below, I'm going to have a link to my link tree. From there, you're able to find all of my social media accounts, from Instagram to Twitter to... I don't remember what else is on there. But if you ever want to talk, I'm here. I answer most DMs. If I don't answer your DM, please don't be offended. I love you all. I really do. And I love this YouTube channel, and I love getting to talk to you guys. Even though the conversation is really one-sided right now, every time I turn on this camera, I think about that there is someone on the other side, somewhere, who's listening. Maybe you just had a bad day and you just want to hear some random bitch ramble about shit. Or maybe this genuinely affects you and changes your life forever, and one day you come to me and say, "Man, you are a miracle worker, thank you, thank you." That ain't gonna happen. But if anything, I hope these videos show you that if you are a dork, if you are a spaz, if you are an anxious, depressed little ball of string that's been tangled and tied in so many knots, and you're just all over the place, that's okay, because I'm like that too. I love you, babes. I hope you all have a good day. I hope to make my next video soon. If I don't, I'm sorry. Keep up to date with me on Twitter. That's where I post all of my updates. So, go follow me on Twitter. Okay? Okay. Okay? Okay. Love you, babes, for the fucking 3rd time. Peace out.